There we go. So the meeting's now recording. Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is throw up another window and we shall look at what read-write is, how it works, and it is very simple, and how you can use it to support learning. One of the things I'm not going to be able to really help you with tonight is any technicalities of why it isn't working on your individual machine, because I can't see your individual machine. So here is the main read-write page. And what read-write is, it's from a company called TextHelp. And read-write is a extension for Google Chrome or an app, depending on which machine you have, which enables a number of accessibility features. And I really like it because it ticks a lot of boxes. There's a lot of stuff all in one place. So I really, really like it. It's available cross-platform. So there's an app for Android, iPad, Windows, Mac OS, Chrome, extension for Chrome and Edge. I would recommend using Google Chrome because you're using Google Classroom and Google products for learning. So always try and make sure you're using Chrome along with those products. It's just designed to work with them rather than trying to use Edge or Safari or Microsoft a Mac OS. Okay, so just try and use Chrome. So I'm going to quickly show you what read-write is. Just to download it, all you need to do is click on download now. Click on the relevant extension from what you've got and download it. Your child already has an account. Aberdeen House pays for that account already. We're paid for the full subscription. So as long as you're logging in with your students at aberdeenhouseschool.co.uk email address, you'll have full access to everything. Now, the good thing about read-write is that it copies over all the settings that your child uses in school to every other device when you log in, so you don't have to set them up separately. Now, we haven't started using this with everyone yet. This has been on my to-do list since before the last lockdown, and lockdowns after lockdown after lockdown has got in the way of us rolling this out fully. Okay, so I thought that might be some parents struggling at home where their children are used to using this sort of support in school. So this sort of brings it all under one banner and should make it a bit easier for you. Okay, your students, apart from an odd handful that I've trial run some stuff with, your children won't have been shown how to use this. So this will be new to them, but it is pretty easy to pick up. It shouldn't be a massive problem, okay? So what we're going to look at first is what this looks like in a Google Doc. And we're going to look at the bar. So I'm just going to delete that off. So here I have a Google Doc about my favorite subject, the Vikings. And up here, you can see in the Chrome bar, I've got this little read-write jigsaw piece. Okay, this little purple extension tab. If you've got this black and white jigsaw piece in an opposite direction, which tends to get a bit confusing, this will allow you to drop down all of the extensions that are available to you. So it might be hidden under there. If it's an app, so if you're using it as a different app, you might need to load it up separately outside of other applications. But when I click on it, it will load up this toolbar. So you'll get this extra toolbar sat on top or underneath of your normal Google Docs toolbar. And this gives you all of the really, really useful programs that you can use within read-write. So I'm going to take you through a few of these now. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'm just going to run you through most of them and the ones that you're going to find most useful. Okay, so the first one here is Checkit. So this is a spell checker. At the moment, I've got Google's spell check running and it's really, really good, but it can never hurt to check it twice. Now, what I quite like about this Checkit is that it will bring up things with spacing issues. So, for example, these citations, and it will call me on some of these other spellings, okay, whether I mean something else. So this is quite a good little spell check, and it will question a couple of things that Google might not have picked up. In this case here, it wants to give us a very unusual spelling of medieval. So we do need to make sure that we're checking that as well. Okay. Now, that is just a basic thing. To be honest, I prefer Google's. Google's is really smart. The thing that I really love is prediction. So this is really useful for typing. What prediction does is it gives you the words that ReadWrite expects you to use next. So if I start typing the end of the
world, most united country.
So I don't know if you can hear that or if it's coming through my headphones, but what this is doing, it's reading out these words to me. So it's predicting which words you might want to use. So the end of the world is
going down.
The end of the word is going down. What this will also do is it will start, if you start typing a word, it will start giving you more options. And the brilliant thing about this is, if you are dyslexic like me, is that it will read these words out to you. So for me, this is better than any spell check. So we can start hitting these words.
Throughout, through.
I know that I want through. And then it will suggest the next ones. Now, there are ways that you can change this. If it's a bit overwhelming, you can change the amount of words it suggests. And you can also change the accent that it reads in. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But I find this incredibly useful. Other options that we've got are dictionaries. So what we've got, first of all, is a word dictionary. So if I bring this up, oh, I've selected the A with that as well, because it's part of the same word. Let's bring in Vikings. Noun. Any of the Scandinavian people who raided the coast of Europe from the 8th to the 11th centuries. So it gives us a word definition. What we've also got in here as well, if I open this back up, is if I click on the play button, it's going to play it out for me.
Scandinavian people who raided the coasts of Europe from the 8th to the 11th centuries.
So it will read that out nice and clearly. Now, I've got my accent set to a nice, slow Australian accent, because I tend to find that quite soothing. What we also have is a picture dictionary. So if we're not on the level where your child isn't engaging with those word definitions, we can bring up some picture definitions, which is really nice. Now, what I'm going to skip through here, I'm going to skip through a couple of these. Over a couple of these now, and I'm going to take you on to highlights, because highlights are an amazing tool. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start highlighting some of my words. So Viking, Norse, Scandinavia, homelands. There we go. So I've got some of these words highlighted, and I'm going to go and I'm going to click on vocabulary. Now, if I click on that, what it's going to do is create a brand new document with all of the words I've selected and their meanings. So this is really good if you're going through a piece of reading with your child. They're not getting some of these words, or they're making some mistakes on some, and you can just highlight them and come back to them. And what it will do, it will bring you up these words with their dictionary meanings and also their picture dictionary symbols. It will leave you a chance to make some notes if you wanted to. So if you wanted to discuss that description some more. So that's a great way of making a nice key word list. So there's the Scandinavian picture and the Viking picture. So let's go back to our Viking stock. If I want to get rid of those now, I can just clear my highlights away. So that's a really useful tool when we're looking at using words and looking at some meanings of words if we want to relearn some of those. Now, two of the most powerful features on this are going to be our screen reader and our voice typing. And this will look slightly different depending on how you're using it. So first of all, I'm just going to cover through document to document what this will look like. So in Google Docs, we have a reader. So if I press play, it will select my paragraph.
For the seafaring Norse people from,
and it will start reading for me. Now, I'm going to show you in the options in a minute how we can slow that down, speed that up, or change that accent to how we want.
Present-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. 3, 4, 5. who from the late 8th to late 11th century.
So you get the point. You can pause, it highlights words as you go, and then you can stop. So that's what the screen reader looks like. Really nice and simple. If we want to, we can select a different part of this, and then we press play.
Going down. The Vikings had a profound impact on the early medieval history of Scandinavia.
And it will go from where we click at that point if we keep it open. So you can either highlight whole sections, or you can click in, it will read from where your cursor is. This here is the screenshot reader, and I'm going to come to that in a second when we look at our Google Slides. We can make voice notes if we want to. Now, we don't really use that much, but if you did want to make some audio notes, you could do. And another useful feature is the search the web. So if you found something and you want to know a little bit more about it, you can hit the search the web button, and it will automatically search for that word or phrase that you've highlighted. So it means that you don't need to go into another thing, open it up and type those words in. What we're going to have a look now is the voice typing. So I'm going to open up the voice typing, which is this one here, TalkType. And what this will do, it will open up the most relevant TalkType program for the system you're running with, full stop. Now, in this case, it's chosen Google's inbuilt voice typing, which doesn't auto-capitalize at the beginning of sentence. Full stop, start a new line. It never wants to do start a new line for me. Okay, so we can use that normally, and we can pull up tools, and we could pull up voice typing. So that's very similar in Google Docs, and it will work in the same way. Now, something very, very important on the subject of voice typing. Voice typing may not be the best way for your child actually to interact. If they have any speech and language issues, or if they have any speech impediments, it may not pick it up. And sometimes that can be more frustrating. What we're going to be looking at here is really, and this is what the school are going to be doing as soon as we get the chance to run this out properly, is highlighting what the best form of production is. Okay, now I need to highlight here, just because it's on a computer does not make it infallible. It does not make it perfect. I've had to say this to a lot of adults and teachers recently as well, that we think just because it's on a computer, it should work perfectly every time, or it should do exactly what we want it to. Now, the processing power that's going on here is amazing. Unfortunately, ReadWrite does not have the ability for us to change the way that we say words, and they are then typed onto the page. It just doesn't have that option. There are other voice typing softwares that do have that, but they are very, 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 very expensive and very, very specific. Okay, most of the time, this should pick up most of the stuff that you say. If it doesn't, then it will come up with underline if it's not sure. So if I now start speaking really, really fast and quite slurry, and I'll put on my Wesley standard accent so it tries not to pick some of the words up. There we go. It will still give me, oh, still typing. It will give me these blue underlines to consider my changes, where it's not quite sure. There we go. So there. So finance. It hasn't really picked that up that well. But that was a really me speaking as hard as I can to try and break it. It is a really good software. An independent survey tried this, and it made 2 mistakes in 200 from a normal speech pattern. Okay. Again, we need to have a look at what is best for your child. Is it going to be voice typing? Is it going to be typing? Is it going to be handwriting? And we need to try and work out what's the best for them. In some cases, students won't need to use voice typing because their normal typing speed will be more than adequate. Okay, but this is here to support if it's needed. Now, I prefer using voice typing. My typing speed is really good. I really prefer using voice typing. I think it's amazing. Okay, and we can use these in exams. So there is voice typing, and that is the screen reader. There is also a translate function that will translate one word at a time. So if I pop up seafaring, it will translate that word to what I have it set into.
Marais.
And I can hear that. And then you have the highlighting option that links to the vocabulary option. We also have the option to leave a voice note. I believe that's only on there for teachers. You might have seen that in some of your work where teachers are leaving comments as a voice note. So that's how Google Docs look. Now, this might look slightly different in Google Slides. So here, spelled that wrong. So here, I've taken up a piece of writing. Now here we can see this is actually an image. So I've taken a screenshot out of my Vikings document. So I can't highlight any of this page. Now, normally this is where your screen reading software would let you down. It wouldn't be able to pick this up because it's not an editable text. However, ReadWrite has a lovely function, which I mentioned earlier, which is the screenshot reader. So now if I select this and I put all this pink box over my selection, it's going to take a little bit because what it's doing, it's treating this as an image and it is looking through all the words within that image. So this will work on anything. If you uploaded a picture with some words on it or some neat handwriting, I say that, but it has to be very neat so it would understand it. It will try and pick out all the words it can from that image. I said it's going to take a minute because it's trying to break down quite a large image and we're trying to do a couple of things at the same time. So we will come back to that in 1 second and we're just going to let it work. As you can see, a lot of the functions here are exactly the same. You've got the prediction, you've got the dictionaries, you've got the reader for when you're using normal reading, the web search, and we're going to come on to this tool here. So this tool is lovely. It's a screen mask, so really useful for anyone with dyslexia or anyone that needs that colored overlay. Also, if you're finding straining on a plain white background, this is really, really useful. So this brings up this little sub tool here, and we can actually enter the settings for this straight away. So my reading color is this purple line with a background color of yellow. The purple background actually helps me focus quite a lot. Whenever I use pen, I try to use purple. And the yellow background is there just to tone the rest of it down. But you can set these to a number.
Sailors and navigators aboard their characteristic longships.
To a number of different colors and options. So as we can see, for the background color, we can set it here, or if you have the color that you know. And for that overlay color, we can do the same. Or if you know the color code, you can type that in. We can change the opacity of that background to whatever we want. And the same with that reading line. We can have it really solid, or we can have it so it's not there at all. We can also change the height of this reading line. So I've got this set for roughly how size 18 font looks on my screen, but we can make that as big or as small as we want. We could also turn off the reading light, so it just does a normal colored overlay that doesn't follow the mouse. So those are your options there under the screen masking. So as you just heard, I'll click this off. As you just heard, it's now ready. So if I click play.
Vikings voyaged as far as the Mediterranean, North Africa, the Middle East, and were the first Europeans to reach North America.
It will take that text and it's now reading it to us, which is brilliant. We can also, because it's broken that text down, click the little copy icon. And what I can do is now paste that text in somewhere else. So it's broken that down and put it in for us. Again, it hasn't broken it down perfectly. Remember, this is just reading from a picture and a little bit of a pixelated one. So we need to test that through, but it's done a pretty good job. So this is how this is going to look in Google Slides. Now, if I use the voice typing software, this is where it comes up slightly differently. If I enable this, it's going to pull up the voice typing, which we don't normally have the option for in Google Slides. So it's useful in that respect. So here it's going to start recording what I'm saying. However, it's going to put it down here in the box at the bottom, which is normally left for speaker's notes. So what you're going to have to do is copy and paste this out from the box. As you saw, if I was in a text box, it wouldn't start speaking. So this is just one of those features that it just won't let you do for some reason. However, all you need to do is then copy and paste that into whichever box you needed it into. Okay, so normally you don't have that option, so that's quite useful. And then you have the same options that you have in other places. I'll show you the PDF next. So this is a PDF, my English group reading Charlie and Chocolate Factory at the moment. Now this has some reduced functions. I'm not going to take you through all of them because we don't need to. One of the things is the reading.
This book is fantastic. It is about a very poor boy.
We also have that line mask that's going to help us follow lines across. Really quite useful. We can select it to click to speak, so it'll only click on the line that we're focusing on. Again, you've got your dictionaries. So if you're not sure of a word, you can pull it up in either a normal dictionary or a picture dictionary. And again, if you've got any of, you've got the screenshot reader function, if there's any text that is unselectable, you can highlight from here. The translator option, got the option for your vocabulary pull out again. You can also annotate this. Now, this is nothing that we'll ask you to do because this is actually a new feature that has come up that I will be showing staff soon. This didn't exist the last time that I went through all its options, and this will allow you to tag in notes. So again, quite useful. You can also draw shapes and annotate onto this. Okay. I'm going to take you across to the web feature now because this is another one of those useful features. Again, you've got all of the options that you had before. You've got the reading option where it will read whatever it is you have highlighted.
The king, sir.
And click you off. There we go. You can also have the select to speak option where you can just click and it will speak out what you're saying. Now, one really useful option, if you're looking in websites, this can be really overwhelming for someone with specific learning needs. So what we have here is a page simplifier. So if I click on this, what it's going to do is going to open up this same web page in a separate page. Now, this is going to take a minute again because I'm recording and speaking and using 3 programs. There we go. And it's going to bring all of that text out. So it's got rid of, if we flick back, it's got rid of the pictures, the menus, it's got rid of the links, and it's just given us this nice text. Now we can dial back the simplification if we want to, and that will add some more of those overlaps in there for us. And it will just take a minute. We can change the color that we are reading on, so we can choose to read on white on black, which I personally prefer, yellow on blue, or blue on yellow. Again, we've got the options here from the box, so we can pull up that reader if we want to anyway. We can also change the font. So Open Dyslexia is an option, Comic Sans, whatever people find it easiest to read in. And we can also change the size of that font. You can also change line spacing to make it easier to follow those individual lines through. And again, you get the options to have it read to you, to highlight, to pull out any words that you're not sure of. So those are all of the main functions of read and write. I'm now just going to show you through some of the options that you can change. So if I click on the bar over on these little dots, I can bring up the options menu. On here, you can choose speech. So I've got mine changed to Australian Lee, which is the male Australian voice. But as you can see, there are a number of different accents on here. So this doesn't read it in Greek or German. It just gives you an English reading in a German female accent. You can change how quickly or slowly they speak the words. You can say if you want continuous reading or as you click. You can speak each word one at a time, or speak each sentence. I tend to leave it so I highlight a paragraph. And then that's the voice it will now read in. So if I select out, I select this top line here and press play.
Fickings. For other use, the ficking disambiguation.
So then it will read it in that German voice. As I said, I prefer that nice male Australian voice. There we go, Australian Lee. And we can change the speed. So we can really slow that down if we want to. Prediction, we can change the number of results that it suggests to us. and whether it will follow the cursor or predict ahead. We can also change the size of the font that comes up with. So we can make it really big if we wanted to, or really small. Check it does allow you to put any words. So if there's a word that check it didn't spell check that you're putting in there or you want to add, you can add it here, okay? The screen masking options, I've already showed you. This is the translate feature. So I can translate from English to Espanol. You can actually turn off the features. So if you think that there are too many on there and it's confusing your child, you can turn off all of the features. So if you think that they only needed to use the screen reader and the voice typing, you could turn off all the other options. Like I never use the audio maker. And as you can see, it's now disappeared from my toolbar, and it will disappear from all my toolbars. Here you can have an account. So I'm logged in as Peter Reeves at abnehouseSchool.co.uk. And about just tells us about the version. So they're the options that we've got. So that's everything there on Read Write. That's how we can use it, how we open it up, it's always just there, and how we can use it in documents. So this again is just about allowing further access and removing some of those barriers to learning. The main ones that you'll find yourself using are going to be the talk typing, if that's something that you think your student needs, and also the screen reader to allow them to access anything that they might not be able to read themselves, okay? Right, I'm going to stop recording and I will open up the floor for any questions that anyone might have for a few minutes now.